Good morning and welcome to A Moment of Hope with Upward Transitions. I'm Carla Stinnett and we are very excited to welcome Jenna Moray with us today. She is the Executive Director of ReMerge of Oklahoma City in Oklahoma County. Just to tell you a little bit about Jenna, she came on board as the Executive Director for ReMerge in June of 2020. Prior to joining ReMerge, she served as the Vice President of Workforce Development for Goodwill Industries. She also has led statewide efforts to expand apprenticeship in work-based learning opportunities under the Office of Workforce Development and spent nearly a decade working abroad with international nonprofits. Excuse me. Jenna was selected by Governor Kevin Stitt to serve on the Governor's Council for Workforce and Economic Development, the State Workforce Development Board under the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Throughout her career, Jenna has found a great purpose in driving policies and programs that help others seize opportunities and reach their full potential. Jenna holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Oklahoma and a Master's of International Affairs from the Graduate Institute of International and Development Studies in Geneva, Switzerland. Welcome, Jenna. We're so glad.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to be with you.
Yeah. So can you just tell me a little bit about the purpose or mission of ReMerge and what their work process is and who they help and what clients you serve?
Sure. So we serve mothers and help restore them to our community, mothers who are facing nonviolent felony charges, and help restore them to our communities through treatment, recovery, and hope. All of our moms who come to us, we say our moms, so if you hear me say that throughout, I don't mean my mom. All of our participants are mothers of minor children. They're all facing felony charges. They are referred through the DA's office, and then they come to us. And so that's kind of the process of how they get to us and the charges and kind of the criteria for joining ReMerge. Once they join ReMerge, they go through a 4-phase program. It takes about 2 years to get through our program, and it's a very holistic program. So we are trying to hit on every area of their life: addiction recovery, parenting classes, education and employment, health and wellness, and then, of course, a mental health component to that too. And we utilize over 40 partners to provide that holistic treatment to our moms. Once they graduate, and it takes about 2 years to get through our program, their charges are dropped and they are free to go on and live productive lives. They're employed, they have stable housing, they are reunified with their children and can go on and live the purposeful lives that they are meant to live.
Yeah, and I guess it's termed as wraparound services because it's not like you just meet just a certain area of the need, reuniting them with their children. You get down to the root of what maybe has contributed to them being on the path that they've been on, right? So how many clients approximately are you serving in Oklahoma County right now?
At any given time, we serve about 50 clients at any given time, and then
Okay.
about 75 throughout a year.
Okay, so then you have this graduation at the end of your 2 years.
Two graduations a year. So we have one in April and one in October, and we're really looking forward to our October graduation because we'll be back to being able to invite the community out to participate in that. And they're just very, very special events. It's really amazing to see what can happen when you provide people with opportunity to transform their own lives, what can happen in just 2 years.
Well, I know it's a very special time for your clients. And so when you serve these clients that have been referred to you by the justice system, what are the biggest needs you see in the clients that you serve? What stands out immediately when they enter your program?
So I was thinking about this question. You sent me the questions beforehand, and there are lots of tangible things that I could talk to you about. But I think really it's 3 intangible things that have a bunch of tangible needs that are built up under that. And so I would say the first is addiction and trauma recovery. The second is hope. And the third is stability. And those are the needs that the overarching needs that our moms are coming in with. So they're often coming in addicted to substances. Most of our moms have experienced significant trauma beginning when they were in childhood. And that's kind of how they got to us, that trauma was not treated. They started using substances to cope with that trauma and then became addicted and justice involved. That's a very typical cycle for our moms. And so it really is, helping deal with that substance abuse and that trauma, getting them to a place where they can start to build hope and see that life could be different and that they are capable, wonderfully made women who have a future ahead of them, that they can be the moms that they always wanted to be for their children. And then coming in with that stability piece. So stable housing, reliable transportation, stability for their children, not moving all the time. A stable employment is huge. So really putting those things in to create stability in their lives so they're not in a constant cycle of chaos.
So how prevalent then is with this housing and the employment is the cycle of poverty as a contributor to the lives of these women?
Huge. Again, this cycle often starts before they ever get to us, way back in their childhood. And that is ReMerge's goal. It is not just to help one woman, it is to stop the intergenerational cycle of poverty and incarceration. And those two are just inextricably linked. So we know that poverty and joblessness are the number one factor for someone to offend or to recidivate. So when we treat them, if we send them back out without a stable job, without a family sustaining wage, they are much more likely to recidivate than if they have that stability. So poverty is huge. It creates environments for trauma and addiction to thrive. It also, and when we go back to those three needs, it is the opposite of hope. It is a hope killer. And it is the opposite of stability as well. Poverty creates constant chaos in people's lives. And so it is a huge factor in getting moms out of poverty and onto a path of economic security is huge.
Yes. And that's something we share on the mission side, as far as upward transitions is, our mission is to end generational poverty and interrupting that cycle and getting clients on a better path towards productive citizenship and where they can contribute back to their community. So, speaking of the high incarceration rate of women in Oklahoma, there's been several conversations for the past probably 10 years about Oklahoma. What have you come to learn as the economic and social impact of this high incarceration rate of women?
Well, over the last 10 years, just in ReMerge's existence, we've saved the state of Oklahoma over $32 million by running our program rather than incarcerating these women. So we know that not only do we save money as a state when we provide treatment alternatives, but we are also saving in, it's not just the cost of incarcerating someone, it's the cost of their children being in the DHS system. It is the economic cost of them not contributing to our labor participation rate. So those are economic costs. Social costs are even greater. It creates, when we incarcerate women, a child is 7 times more likely to become incarcerated themselves. So we are separating families. We're creating greater conditions for children to also become incarcerated. We are tearing at the very fabric of our community when we incarcerate women rather than providing with treatment. And I just want to be clear that the women who come to ReMerge, they don't need to be in prison. They're not going to flourish there. They're not going to get better there. They're not going to become productive community members there. They need treatment, and that is how we can create stronger communities.
Yes, and we as an agency, Upward Transitions coordinates care as far as housing and sometimes financial interventions if they need that too. But what are some, instances that you can share about upward transitions in ReMerge and how we've worked together to support the clients you serve?
I think the two biggest factors and ways that we get to collaborate with you all is on rent assistance. So as you know, affordable housing in Oklahoma City is a huge challenge. So when we can get rental assistance for our moms and get them out of the old neighborhood. So we often say to get out of addiction, you've got to change your people, your places, and your things. So going back to your same old neighborhood is not going to be a productive environment. So getting them into stable housing and affordable housing in a good neighborhood where their kids can thrive, that's been an important way that we've gotten to partner with you guys. And then the biggest way is you all are the experts on helping get IDs for people. So identification is huge, and we can sometimes work through that process, but sometimes we kind of hit our expertise limit on helping our moms get identification. And it's not just having a piece of plastic. It's the piece of plastic that allows you to drive, to go get your children's records, to get on assistance if you need it, to become employed. And so having those pieces of paper are crucial. And you guys are really the experts at that. And so we're just so thankful to have the partnership with you that you can help our moms, and especially in those really tough cases. And we really rely on your expertise in that area.
Yeah, we actually even hold documents for many people who have started their journey of restoration, and they are looking at ways to collect, to get on the path to social services and resources that they need. And ID is probably one of the very first steps, because you can't access these services and you can't get a job if you don't have this ID. So,
and sometimes you need two forms, and you can't get the form you really need for the social service without the first one. So it's crucial, and we're super grateful for your help.
Yeah, it's one of the main barriers that we address with homelessness. So in looking at some of the positive ways, what are some of the other partner agencies that you collaborate with, and how do you see this safety net of social services and agencies working together, how that impacts our community?
Sure. So some of our biggest partners are Sunbeam Family Services. They actually have an early Head Start center in our building. So our moms are able to send their 0 to 3-year-olds. They can bring them to program and send them to school for the day and be on site. And that's huge. The Department of Corrections has a probation officer that is specifically assigned to ReMerge. And so she's here all the time. And it's pretty rare for people to love their parole officer and miss her when they graduate and say, we love you. But that's kind of the relationship that we've been able to form here. And then North Care is a big partner of ours. They do all of our individual therapy for our moms. And First Step is the housing partner for when our moms first come into the program. They are in supervised housing for at least the first 90 days. And so we utilize First Step. Salvation Army does all of our transportation. So ReMerge really is built on a collaborative community model. And it is my philosophy and our organization's philosophy that we really try to focus on doing what we do well. And what we do well is provide an excellent diversion program. And we try to let our partners who are experts in their areas really leverage those resources, so that when people are giving in our community to these different organizations, they get a double bang for their buck. So if someone is giving to Sunbeam, they're not only helping Sunbeam, they're also helping ReMerge. And I think that our city is really collaborative in that way. There's not a lot of territorial issues. We really do try to see the ways where we can help each other and focus on the things that we do well, and use our partners to do the things that they do well. And ReMerge would not be successful. There's just too many services that our participants need. If we tried to do all of that, we wouldn't be doing anything well. And so having partners who are providing excellent services in our community is vital to our success.
Yes, and we are thankful too for the United Way of Central Oklahoma for their
Yes.
support and how they sometimes raise some of those funds that we don't have the capacity to raise for ourselves because of staff limitations or whatever we may have as far as budget limits. So we want to say a shout out and thank you to United Way.
Absolutely.
And just in closing today, do you have a brief client story that you could share with us today?
Sure. So as you said, I started about a year ago, and my first week on the job, I had a client come in and plop down in my office, and she said, my name's Keziah, and you don't have to worry about remembering my name because I'm a runner. I always run, and you won't know me for very long anyway. And so I thought that was awfully sad when she said that. And she had actually just come back from being AWOL and had been back for about 2 days. And clearly her plan was to run again from her problems. But we were able to create some stability in her life and some hope for her future. And she came down into my office about a month ago and plopped back down in my chair and said, she actually started giving me advice about taking care of myself and providing self-care for myself and not working too hard. Wonderful. So I knew that our messages were getting through. And then I asked her, I said, Keziah, do you remember about a year ago, you told me that you are a runner? And I said, but look at you, look how much she's just accomplished so much in this year. I'm so proud of her. She's had a new baby and she has been employed and she has worked her program and been just really great attitude, and just her growth has been tremendous. And I said, I want you to look at how far you've come. That's not who you are anymore, is it? And she got tears in her eyes and she said, no, that's not who I am anymore. I've changed. And it's really incredible to see them start to believe in themselves and grow in that way.
And developing that hope for a future. And that's what it's all about. We both our agencies work to inspire that hope in people so that they can feel like they have a future ahead of them. So, well, I want to tell you, it's been a delight to hear from you today, Jenna. And we just, support ReMerge and their work and everything that they do. And, I think Oklahoma, especially Oklahoma City, we do have a collaborative spirit of taking ownership of our community and saying, this is us that's hurting out here. And we need to work together and these challenges and issues that face our community, work together to solve them. So thanks so much for joining us, Jenna. We wish you all the best. And we look forward to maybe doing a follow-up conversation later on. So
sounds great. Again. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you all are doing for our community and for your partnership. We're so grateful for you.
Thanks again. All right, we'll say bye to everybody now. See you later. Till next time.